My name is Narration, and for 3 years I believed the greatest danger on Velora was its gravity, 1.8 times that of Earth, which made every step feel like betrayal by my own bones. I was wrong. The greatest danger was Prince Caeltharion Voexthaler, heir to the eternal throne of the Lyran Dominion, who looked at me exactly once and then spent the next 36 months pretending I did not exist. I arrived in 2247 as part of the Terran exchange mission, one of only 12 humans granted permission to live among the Lyrani. They are tall, silver-skinned, with eyes like molten gold and hair that moves as though underwater. Their cities float above violet oceans on platforms of living crystal, and their language sounds like wind chimes caught in a storm. My job was xenobotany, cataloging the flora that grew on the floating islands. It was supposed to be safe, academic, temporary. Cael was never meant to speak to me. The first time I saw him was during the welcoming ceremony in the Sky Palace of Aelthera. I stood at the back with the other humans, trying not to sweat through my ceremonial robes. The Emperor and Empress sat on thrones grown from a single piece of starlight opal. Their children stood beside them. Crown Princess Cyril, already promised to the Duke of the Outer Rings, and Cael, second-born, spare heir, the one they called the Silent Storm. He wore black. Every other noble wore white or silver, but Cael wore matte black that drank the light. When his gaze swept the hall, it snagged on me for half a heartbeat. I felt it like a brand. Then he looked away, and the moment calcified into nothing. After that, he became a ghost in every room I entered. If I walked the Crystal Gardens at dawn, he had just left. If I attended a diplomatic banquet, he sat at the far end of the table and never once turned in my direction. Once, I found a data crystal on my workstation containing translations of ancient Lyrani love poetry. No note. No signature. I asked my assistant AI who had accessed the lab. Restricted clearance, it replied. Level 9. Only the Imperial family had level 9. I told myself I imagined the attention. Humans were curiosities, nothing more. Lyrani made it for genetic harmony and political alliance. Love was an obsolete concept they studied like we study medieval plague journals. The law of purity was absolute. To bond with an offworlder was to taint the bloodline forever. The punishment was exile to the Shadow Reaches, a place from which no ship had ever returned. Still, someone kept leaving me gifts. A single night-blooming star lily on my pillow. A cloak woven from cloud silk that perfectly matched the color of my eyes. A hollow recording of the moonrise over the violet sea, time-stamped for the exact minute I had once said, offhand to no one, was the loneliest minute of the day. I began leaving gifts in return. A pressed earth violet. A paper crane. A recording of rain on a tin roof in old Kyoto. I left them in places only he would find. The hollow of the crystal tree in the Imperial Garden, the hidden compartment in the observatory telescope, the inside pocket of the black cloak he always wore. He never acknowledged them. But the gifts kept coming. Then came the incident with the Void Wasp. I was alone on Sky Island 9, collecting samples of Dreamvine, when the containment field failed. Void wasps are not insects. They are living fractures in space-time, drawn to warm-blooded life. One sting and reality unravels around you. I had seconds. The emergency beacon was 20 meters away, across open ground. I never made it. Something hit me from the side, knocking me clear as reality tore open where I had stood. I looked up into gold eyes blazing with fury and terror. Cael's arms were around me, his body a living shield. He raised one hand and spoke a word in High Lyrani that felt like knives in my skull. The void wasp folded in on itself and vanished. For one endless second he held me against his chest. I felt his heart hammering 3 beats to my 2, the Lyrani rhythm. His hand cupped the back of my head, fingers threading through my hair as if memorizing the texture. Then footsteps echoed on the platform. Palace guards. He set me away from him so fast I almost fell. By the time the guards arrived, he was 10 paces distant, expression carved from ice. Human, he said formally. You will return to the embassy immediately. This island is restricted. He never looked at me again that day. But that night someone crawled through the ventilation shaft into my quarters. Impossible for anyone but a trained assassin or a desperate prince, and left a single black feather from a star raven. Attached was a note in Terran English, written in handwriting that trembled. I am sorry I cannot be sorrier. 2 weeks later, the Empress announced Kale's betrothal to Lady Vera of House Silvani. The wedding would take place on the night of twin moons, 6 months hence. The alliance would secure the Dominion's border against the Dravakian Empire. It was perfect. It was inevitable. I volunteered for the most remote posting available. A research station on the storm moon of Kethra. Departure in 1 month. Distance, I told myself, would cauterize the wound. It almost worked. 3 nights before I was due to leave, the palace alarms screamed. Someone had breached the Imperial archives and stolen the Crown of Stars, an artifact that amplified Lorani's psychic abilities 1,000-fold. The thief left a message burned into the vault wall in Terran script. She deserves to choose. The entire planet went into lockdown. I was confined to the embassy with the other humans. For 48 hours no one entered or left. On the second night my door chimed. When I opened it, Kale stood there in plain traveler's robes, hood shadowing his face. "Come with me," he said. It was the first time he had ever spoken directly to me. I should have refused. Instead I pulled on my coat and followed him through service corridors, down a lift that dropped us 3 kilometers into the Undercity where even the palace guards feared to go. We emerged in a cavern lit by bioluminescent moss. In the center waited a small, unmarked shuttle. He powered it up without looking at me. "Kethra is 8 hours away at maximum speed. You will be safe there." "I don't understand," I said. He finally met my eyes. "I stole the crown. When they discover it missing, the wedding will be delayed indefinitely. Vera's house will withdraw. My mother will be forced to name Suriel's child as heir instead of me. I will be stripped of title and exiled." His voice was steady, almost gentle. "I am giving you the choice I was never allowed. Go to Kethra. Live. Forget me." I stared at him. "And what happens to you?" "Exile to the shadow reaches." He smiled, small and sad. "I hear the stars there are very beautiful." Something inside me snapped. "No," I said. He blinked. "No," I repeated. "You do not get to burn your entire life to ash because you think that's noble. You do not get to decide for me what I'm allowed to feel, or who I'm allowed to love." I stepped closer. "You want me to have a choice? Fine. Here's mine." Kissed him. For 1 heartbeat he was statue still. Then his arms crushed me against him and he kissed me back like a man drowning in gravity finally learning how to breathe. His mouth tasted like winter storms in desperation. When we broke apart we were both shaking. "You will die with me," he whispered against my temple. "Then we'd better not die." We stole the crown back that night, not to return it, but to hide it where no one would ever find it. We left decoy evidence pointing to Dravakian spies. By morning the Dominion was on war footing, the wedding cancelled, the border fleets mobilized. In the chaos, 1 disgraced prince and 1 human botanist slipped away on a cargo hauler bound for the neutral station of Helix 9. We have been running for 3 years now. Sometimes we take jobs on fringe worlds, me cataloging alien flora, him doing translation work under assumed names. Sometimes we just drift between stars in a ship barely big enough for 2. His hair has grown long. He braids it the way human sailors once did. I have learned to read the tiny shifts in his expression that mean joy or fear or desire. He has learned that human tears are not weakness but pressure valves for a heart too full. The Dominion still has a death mark on us both. Bounty hunters find us every few months. We have become very good at disappearing. Last night we lay on the observation deck watching a nebula birth new stars. His hand rested on my stomach, feeling the first faint flutter of movement. Our daughter, impossible and perfect, conceived in defiance of every law of 2 species. "Do you regret it?" he asked quietly. I turned to look at him. Moonlight from the nebula painted his skin in shades of rose and violet. "Never," I said. He smiled then, the real one, the one he only ever gives me when he forgets to be a prince. "Good," he whispered. "Because I have loved you since the first moment I saw you standing at the back of that hall, trying so hard to be invisible. I just didn't have the words. Or the courage." I kissed the corner of his mouth. "You have them now." Outside the viewport, new stars ignited one by one, burning bright against the dark. We are exiles. We are criminals. We are free. And somewhere, in a hidden corner of the universe where no empire holds sway, an alien prince who once hid his heart behind silence now says my name like a prayer every night before we sleep. I loved an alien prince who hid his feelings because loving a human was forbidden. Turns out the forbidden part was never the problem. The problem was that he thought love required permission.